Good day, everyone. My name is Jay, and by the way, I am the first reporter in Chapter 4, and now I will going to discuss about the laws of relevant to tourism planning. Learning objectives. So after completing this lesson, you are expected to first identify specific laws that are relevant to tourism, and the second is explain the implications of such laws to tourism businesses. The first law is Republic Act 9593 or Tourism Act of 2009, Section 2, Overall Tourism Policy. So this law declares tourism as indispensable or important element of the national economy and industry of the national interest and importance, which must be harnessed as engine of socio-economic growth and cultural affirmation to generate investment, foreign exchange, and employment in a certain place and continue to mold and enhance a sense of national pride for all Filipino. So from the word itself, socio-economic, it talks about the interaction between the social and economic habits of a group of people. And now I will going to discuss about the Tourism Act of 2009 coverage. First is preferential treatment of Filipino national. It means better opportunity for each of Filipino people, no matter what is a socio-economic status. Second is prevention of exploitation. It means or unfair treatment of women and children. And the third is full government assistance by way of investment incentives. The fourth is its enhancement of a tourism data collection, analysis, and dissemination. The fifth one is responsible tourism as a strategy. The sixth is stronger tourism councils and the participation of NGOs as national government officer and the private sector. Next is progressive development of existing civil aviation or transportation, the air, land, and sea policies. And next is boosting the convention of handling capability of the country. Balanced tourism development between urban and rural areas. So it should must that we are not only focusing in urban area but it should also in rural areas. And next is capability building of local government units or LGUs in partnership with the private sector. Next is international standard of excellence in all tourism facilities and services, because we should or we want to give our tourists a better place to live as well as a safe environment and having a good facilities to stay. International businesses relation through partnership, joint ventures, and other cooperative undertakings. And next is sustainable funding mechanism. So we have the expanded private sector representation. First is the private sector, its representation of the Department of or Tourism Promotion Board and the TIESA Board as well. And there's also the collaborative or different department who join together to have a tourism planning, including the government department heads and so on and so forth. And we have a capacity building for LGUs or local government units, the Department of Tourism to assist capacity building program for LGUs. And according to Republic Act 9593, the LGU should submit a comprehensive resource inventory to the Department of Tourism. And also, the LGU should have periodically report the Department of Tourism the status of tourism plan. Because every year, sometimes the LGUs or in a certain place, they have their own law or planning to make their place or boost their tourist attraction in a certain place. So the LGU cannot operate without the permission of Department of Tourism. And every year there is a report or monthly report or and as well as a yearly report to them about the status of the plans that they made. And now let's continue about the two types of tourism enterprises. First, we discussed earlier that the primary tourism enterprises should have a accreditation of Department of Tourism. So here are the travel and tour services, land, sea, and air transportation services exclusively for tourist use. Accommodation establishment, convention, exhibition, organizers, tourism estate management service, and such other enterprises as may be identified by the Secretary after consultation which concerned sectors. So here are the primary tourism enterprises, for example, the travel agency, because they operate a travel and tour services, land, sea, and air transportation. The second is secondary tourism enterprises, which is voluntary to have a accreditation for Department of Tourism. All other tourism enterprises not covered by the preceding subsection. And also, the tourism enterprise zones defined an area with a contiguous territory of at least 5 hectares in size. Because it amassed that the place should have 5 hectares in a size in order to accommodate the tourists and also to have a better place to stay while they are enjoying, while they are having leisure. And next is historical, cultural significant, environmental beauty, and existing or potential integrated leisure facilities. So, when we have a tourist attraction, it should have a beautiful scenery in order to the tourists to make enjoy, well, and having a selfie and post it into the Instagram or in the Facebook, right? And also has or may have strategic access through transportation, infrastructure, and reasonable connection with existing utilities infrastructure system. So it should, one of the most important is transportation from one place to another place. Because when we post it online, for example, in Samal, so here in Davao, there's a lot of tourists want to go in Samal. So the transportation there is the barge, sea transportation. So it should have a good transportation in order the tourists can go and visit that certain place. It must be strategically located to catalyze socio-economic development of neighboring communities. An area officially designated for tourism development by the TIEZA. And also, we have 2 types of tourism zones. The Greenfield Tourism Zone, which is a new or pioneer development as determined by the TIEZA. The second one is Brownfield Tourism Zone, an area with existing infrastructure or development as determined by the TIEZA. Again, we have 2 types of tourism zones, the Greenfield Zone and the Brownfield Tourism Zone. And we have the fiscal incentive for this. So, the income tax holiday for a period of 6 years, extendable for a maximum of 6 more years, and also a gross income taxation of 5%. And also 100% exemption of taxes and customs duties on imported capital investment and equipment. And it should have exemption from costume duties and national taxes for imported transportation spare part subject to condition. And also there are exemption from all taxes and costume duties and imported goods actually consumed in that course of the service actually rendered with the T's subject to condition. And also there are tax credit equivalent to all the national internal revenue taxes paid on locally sourced goods and service. Social responsibility for incentive, so the tax deduction not exceeding 50% of the cost of environmental protection or cultural heritage preservation activities, and also local communities like programs. And we have also the non-fiscal incentives. So here are the employment of foreign nationals subject to condition. We have also special investor resident visa to foreign national who shall invest at least USD 200,000. So we have also investor from other country. So it should invest more money in order to have a business here in the Philippines. We have right to repatriate, enter proceeds of their liquidation of the investment, right to remit earnings from a foreign investment, right to remit such sums as may be necessary to meet the payments of interest and principal of foreign loans and foreign obligations. Also, we have the criteria for TIAZA here. It's financing of infrastructure project, how to build it. And the TIAZA will only finance infrastructure project that involve development, rehabilitation, and enhancement of tourism historical sites, cultural and heritage sites, and ecotourism sites in on areas that are not privately owned. Here in the Philippines, we have a lot of tourist sites. We have historical sites, cultural sites, environmental sites, so on and so forth. So we have the criteria here that TIAZA will be based in order to give a or to finance a certain place. First is evaluation criteria for such project are ecological consideration 25%, economic consideration 20%, and also sustainability 20%. And we have also a community and stakeholder consideration 15%, financial consideration 10%, and last is a cultural consideration 10%. So the TIAZA overall, the TIAZA will finance if that certain place is not privately owned, and also this a tourist site involved development or want to improve their facilities for the tourists.